Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Eleanor, and this is the Simple Knit podcast, where I hang out with you here on my couch and talk to you about all of the things that I've recently been knitting. It's so good to see you all again. I hope you've all been well. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, thank you so much. It's kind of like a fresh start because it's been about 5,000 years since I posted an episode. But for everyone who has come back after our sabbatical, I guess, let's call it that, it's so great to see you again. I hope you've all been keeping well and have been knitting up a storm. Let me know in the comments below what you've been working on, what's been happening with you. I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Simple Knit Co. And yeah, I'm coming to you from my living room in Brisbane, Australia. It is a beautiful sunny Wednesday morning in August. It's show day here, so it's a public holiday. Had a morning of nothing to do. So not like nothing to do, but like nothing pressing. So I figured what better chance do I have to sit down when I would usually be being annoyed at work and do something much more fun, which is talk about knitting, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So what I'm going to show you today isn't obviously everything I have finished since I last saw you. I've made quite a few gift knits since I last saw you because I've had quite a few babies coming and about to come in my circles. So and gift knits are really fun, like process knits, but are not the most exciting things to show off, because it's like, this is a thing that I don't get to keep. I really like knitting them. I liked knitting baby blankets more than I thought I would, but yes, so that's some stuff that you won't be seeing. Apologies if there's any background noise. I have like shut every orifice in my house, but because it's a public holiday, people aren't at work, so they are mowing lawns and cutting tiles like it's no one's business. So hopefully you shouldn't be able to hear any of that, and my very smart phone will pick up my voice and not the yard work. But yeah, so this isn't everything that I have knit since we last spoke. There are some things that you might see if you go on my Instagram that I haven't spoken about, and other things will come up over time, like wear them in future episodes, things like that. So yeah, that's enough of a little rambly intro. Yes, pour yourself a drink, grab yourself a project, and let's get started. So I will start with what I'm wearing, which is also a finished object. We love it. This is the Riento top by Surrey Nordland. I knit this in the same yarn as the sample, which is Sadness Garn Double Sunday. Look at me go. I do have it written down there in case I forget. So Sadness Garn Double Sunday. I knit this, it's the colorway is called That Orange Feeling, and it's like that perfect like sweet spot between orange and red. It's kind of like Lady Danger vibes if you're a makeup person. It's just like it's an absolutely stunning color. And yeah, I really, really, really like this top. So let me just, because don't remember the details from my notes. I knit the 4th size, and I used 4mm needles for the general body and 3.5 for the 3.5mm needles for the ribbing. I believe those are the recommended needle sizes, but I don't know. Usually I get pretty close to the same gauge as Sari, so usually for her patterns I use the recommended needle sizes. And I love this, it's gorgeous. So it's just this kind of t-shirt. In the pattern it does have an option to just do it as a sleeveless top as well, with this beautiful little lace detail that goes down the sides and down the little puffy sleeves. When I blocked this, I just like lay it flat, so you can kind of see on the lace panel on the sides, we could see there's a little like seam or fold line where I blocked it, which may not, on one hand, like it doesn't really show off the lace super well. Next time I wash it, I might try to like flatten them this way, but it does mean that they kind of stick out, and it kind of emphasizes the kind of fun sleeve vibe, which is really cute. I loved knitting this. It was super fun. So it's got the front and back, it's all over moss stitch, and then with these little lace panels. So it's kind of like a really fun something happening all the time. And the lace repeat is really easy to memorize. I think it's only about 4 rows or maybe 6, like it's not very many rows. And it's really easy to work out which row of the repeat you're at. So it's very easy to follow. I think the only modification I made was I did lengthen it a little bit. But I'll show you. I just have to stand up for a second. The other little thing that I love is, so down the bottom, because of both the, sorry, I've been sitting, the way that the lace kind of pulls up, and also at the front because of your boobs, it kind of makes a little curvy hem. It's a little bit less curvy at the back, and a little bit more at the front, which may also vary depending on how big your boobs are. But, oh, sorry, my couch is not liking this. But I really love the way it makes that little kind of like half moon. It's a fun feature that you literally don't have to do anything to get, and it just is just a cute little detail. So yeah, I highly recommend this pattern. All of Sari's patterns are really great, and this was just really a blast to knit. Yeah, I don't think I have, and I did finish this a little while ago, so I don't quite remember any other, like, I don't have any strong emotions tied to it, so there must have been no part of this that was particularly arduous to knit, which is nice. And yes, I'm first time working with this yarn as well. It's really nice to work with. It's a European merino, so it has that really like spongy feel in your hands, and it feels like it's going to wear really well. So it's kind of doesn't have, like, Australian merino tends to be a little bit more pilly, I find, than like European merino. I don't know if that's a thing or if it's just something that I've invented that makes me sound like I'm smarter than I am. But yeah, it feels like it's going to wear really, really well. There's heaps of gorgeous colors in this. If you're in Australia, Brisbane, wherever, the Yarn Bowl, which is based on the north side of Brisbane, Banyo, is it? Up over the river. They are a stockist of Double Sunday, and yeah, there are lots of really gorgeous colors. I am obsessed with this color though, and I am really, really thrilled with this top. And it's great, like these kind of short sleeve jumpers. You think, oh, is it really like the most practical thing, like wool but short sleeves? But I guess because of the climate that I live in, it's like cold but not that cold, so this is like a nice like winter going out top, because you're not going to overheat, which is a real risk when you live in a subtropical climate. So finished object 1. Finished object 2 is this, and it's actually good I'm not wearing it because it'll be a bit easier to show than if I was sitting down. So this is the Magnolia Chunky by Camilla Vad. Quick show and tell. Gorgeous. All right, so I have made the Magnolia Bloom before, which is knit at the same gauge, but it has the pretty magnolia motif around the yoke, and that version of the pattern is much more size inclusive. So I was going to just knit that pattern again in this color, because I really wanted like the idea of like the magnolia in this color I thought would be really cool. But then I don't know when or how or why, but I saw in my Ravelry library that I had the pattern for the chunky. So if you're going to buy one, I would recommend buying the Magnolia Bloom, much more size inclusive. But I had this one, so I was like, oh, I'll just make something different. Why not? So I think because there's only like 4 sizes of this or something silly like that. So I knit the 3rd size according to my handy dandy notes. And I used, because it was the basically the same gauge as the Magnolia Bloom, I used the same needle sizes that I used for that, because I actually swatched for that. And I believe I went up a size different from the pattern. So for the main body, it's on 8mm needles, and then 7mm for the ribbing. I used the same yarn that I used for my Magnolia Bloom as well. One of my favorite yarns of all time. It's Knit Picks Wonder Fluff. This colorway is called Mountain Fern Heather. It's coming up slightly lighter and brighter on screen than it is in person, but it is just a beautiful, like, scummy pond scum green. Like, it's just so beautiful. That kind of, like, it's almost like a golden green. I love it. I love it. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, like, it's a really straightforward, like, straightforward pattern. It goes top down. Well, how am I talking? So you start at the collar, you knit from the top down, and basically as soon as you finish the yoke increases, you split for the sleeves and body, and you basically start the lace chart straight away. So it goes by so fast. It's at such a nice big broad gauge. Has these little bobbles, which mine are like at varying levels of puffiness, and it's a nice twisted rib. On the sleeves, in the pattern, it does have you do like a section of the lace repeat twice, but I only did it once because I did the sleeves on magic loop, because there's not like small circumference needles, don't, unless you have like a really fancy kit, don't really come at like the 30 centimeter circumference sleeve needles. You can't really get them at 7 millimeter needles. Wow, that was a terribly constructed sentence. But I think you understand what I mean. So I was knitting it on magic loop, and I have to say, like, especially doing the bobbles was an absolute pain in the butt on magic loop. So I only did, and like, I think I had finished the body pretty promptly, and then it was waiting for sleeves for quite a long time. I wanted to just power through them. So I only did one repeat, and they are like a really good length. I've worn this, but I haven't blocked it yet. Oops. But even without blocking it, the sleeves are like full length on me. If you look at some of the pattern pictures, I think the sleeves are meant to be quite kind of like oversized and baggy, and then with the tight cuffs, so they kind of are a bit more like voluminous. But this, because this is a mostly like alpaca base, it doesn't have the same like memory as if you were knitting it in a pure like wool yarn, which the pattern is designed for like holding a few strands of wool and mohair together, which has a little bit more like elastic memory, would keep the sleeve cuff a little bit tighter. So if you had that more volume, it would stay up. I don't think this will, and I'm really happy with the length the sleeves are. They'll probably grow a little when I block them, which will be, so they'll still be nice and long. Like I'm not missing any length for not doing that other pattern repeat. But yeah, and I just like knitting this lace repeat on the body at like a nice wide circumference. Everything was so fun. It's such a fun repeat. Knitting it on a small circumference was not fun. And that's the other reason I think I would prefer, if I had to pick one, the Magnolia Bloom, because it just has the lace up here, and then the sleeves are just sleeves, just stockinette sleeves that you can just zoom through. But yeah, it's cute. I love it. Love this color. The yarn is so nice and like a bulky weight and fuzzy, but really light. So really like climate appropriate. So that's all I have to say. I really like it. Yeah. All right, so for my last finished object for today, I have a pair of socks. These are very cute. This is the Midnight Dancer sock pattern by Sari Nordland. I've made it before. You've seen me talk about it before, but I really like this pattern, and I thought it was a perfect pattern for this sock set that I got. So this yarn was the special surprise birthday colorway that Laura from Owl of Athena Yarns did for her. I think it was whatever birthday of the yarn shop last year. So it was a 100-gram skein of this beautiful purple speckledy color, and then a mini skein of this beautiful warm rusty red color. So pretty. I do have the other one on a sock blocker, but full disclosure, this sock blocker is broken. So, but it does the job. It's fine. The only mods I make to this pattern are for when you cast on and knit the first few rows to do the ruffle for the cuff, I knit that flat on a long circular needle, and then once I've decreased down to start the sock, I transfer it then onto a 9-inch circular needle. I just find it easier. And in the pattern, it does give instructions for both a short row heel and a heel flap and gusset. I substituted in a fish lips kiss heel. Usually I would do heel flap and gusset, but with a contrast heel, I prefer the look of a short row heel. I don't really like the way a heel flap looks in a contrast yarn. That is a personal preference. But yeah, if I'm doing a contrast heel, I like the way it looks on a short row heel. So these are it's just a stockinette sock with a fun detail, but really cute, and I really, really love this colorway. And that is all the finished objects I have to show you. And I have a couple of works in progress. 2 of the 3, I only have 3 things on the needle, but 2 of the 3 are in yarns that I got at the Australian Sheep and Wool Show in Bendigo in July, which I went to for the first time. I just went for one day. It was super fun. It was really lovely to meet so many people. If you would like to see what I got up to, my friend Ira made a vlog, so I'll pop that in the description box below, and you can watch that. You can also see all of the yarn that I bought at the show. I ended up going to the Bendigo Woolen Mills mill shop on the Sunday morning and got a lot more other stuff, which you'll see in the fullness of time as I knit with it. But it was a really lovely day. It was lovely to meet so many of you, and yeah, to hang out with so many lovely knitters and like meet vendors and stuff in person. Yeah, it was really a really nice day. It was really great. So first things first, I'm halfway through a pair of DK weight socks. So never thought I would be a DK weight sock person, but when I went to the Half Baked hand dyed booth, this is literally the last skein of self-striping yarn that Danny had. So it's in her colorway Airy, and I've just done a 2x2 ribbed sock, kind of to use as bed socks. This is also Danny's, I don't know if she calls it wide stripe or extra long stripes, but so it's still a self-striping, but they're thicker chunks, kind of gives more of this like color blocked effect, which I think is really cute. I cast on 44 stitches on a 3.25 millimeter needle. I was going to do 48 stitches on a 3 millimeter needle, but my 3 millimeter needle is in another project. So we make do at Simple Knit headquarters, and that's what I had. So yeah, I just did these 2 blocks of, so yeah, I did 2x2 rib for 2 color blocks, a heel flap and gusset construction, and then continue the 2x2 rib on the top of the foot, heel, gorgeous. So that's one. I've just started the gusset decreases on the second sock. I also, I made them a little bit, the legs a little bit shorter than I would normally do for a sock, because really I just have no idea how much yarn, like how far 100 grams of DK weight sock yarn gets you in a pair of socks. So I'll have a bit left over, but as I said, yeah, I wasn't sure how far it was going to get me. So yeah, I've just started the gusset decreases on this one, and yeah, I mean, it socks. As you can see with the last pair of socks, I get to this stage, it's like, yep, socks. So that's been really good. Like, that's been my handbag knitting. So I just had a ball band wrapped around my sock blocker. Very professional. But yeah, great handbag knitting, and they knit so fast. Obviously on like fewer stitches on a larger needle, they're going to go much faster than a fingering weight sock. But yeah, really fun, really cute. So like plus side DK weight socks, they knit up super fast. Downside, yeah, I'm just not sure. I think there'll be like more bed socks than like more wearable socks, but that's fine. My feet are always cold, so yes, that is sock. Next finished object, not finished object, work in progress, is also in yarn that I bought at Bendigo. I got this at the Mill Shop. So it's Bendigo Woolen Mills yarn. And I have been flying along, so I'm having the best time knitting this pattern. Now, I'm just going to flip it inside out because you do knit it inside out. So this is the Metamorphic by Andrea Mowry. She released this pattern last year, I believe, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, that is gorgeous. I want to make that. And the Bendigo Woolen Mills, they used to have a color changing yarn called Bloom. This year they've released one, and I don't know, it feels very similar to Bloom, so I don't know if it's just like rebranded or, and it is different colorways, but it's called Prism, which is their new color changing yarn. So I've just turned this inside out because it's a reverse stockinette jumper. I've done the body and I'm on the ribbing at the bottom, but like, how beautiful is that? Oh, look at some of my gauge inconsistencies that are definitely going to block out. But I'm obsessed. I think this is so beautiful. Watching this like rainbow of colors like come alive as you're knitting is just like an absolute thrill. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I'm obsessed. So yes, the yarn that I'm using. So as I said, Bendigo Woolen Mills, the grey colour is their classic 8-ply in charcoal. I've used this base and weight and colour for a project before. It's just like the perfect like super dark grey, like not quite black but very dark, which I love. And the contrast colour is the Bendigo Woolen Mills Prism 8-ply in the colourway Outback. I was umming and ahhing over all of the colours that they had of Prism because when I saw, there was a lady that we spoke to at the show who had bought, there's like a pink colourway that I actually did buy one skein of, and I know that Iris bought some as well because we saw this lady knitting with it at the show. It's like pinks and oranges, it's beautiful. But I didn't really want that for this jumper, and then there was a few colorways in like blues and purples that were really pretty. And then I found 2 skeins of this colorway called Outback, and this is what it looks like in the full size ball. So I kind of didn't realize this one, because it's like this purpley color on the outside, and this skein that I had started with these reddy colors. So I kind of didn't realize how much of a rainbow it was going to knit up as, but like, I'm thrilled about it. It is so lovely. So Bendigo yarn comes in 200 gram balls. This is how much I have left of both of them after finishing the body. Still got to do my ribbing, but yeah, I'm just having like, just cannot put this down. I love it so much. It's been a while since I've knit an Andrea Mowry pattern, and all of the ones that I've knit before and this one, like they're great patterns. She's really good at making knitting patterns. I will say there is a design feature on this one, which is courtesy of the fact that I just don't read. So this little like slip stitch detail that you have going down the front and the back and down the shoulders, I realized when I started doing, because I got to the ribbing and I was like, and in the pattern, Andrea links to a video for like how to pick up sleeve stitches from the wrong side. And when I was watching that video that she's beautifully made, I realized that that slip stitch detail is also meant to go down the sides and down the bottom side of the arm. And I just didn't read that. When I separated my sleeves and picked up my and cast on the underarm stitches, I just like knit. There were stitch markers on either side, and I got like halfway down the body, I was like, why are there stitch markers on the side for no reason? And didn't even think, just like knitted away, and then realized that I just omitted the slip stitch down the side. I mean, you're not gonna, it's under your arms, you're not going to see it anyway. obviously I'm not bothered by it. But yeah, that is a fun design feature that makes this my project super unique and super special. And yeah, sorry, I just dropped a bunch of stitches turning this back inside out. You can see my resting stitch face. Yeah, so omitted those slip stitches down the side. Not mad about it. You're not even gonna see who's staring at my side. And also I just love how this rainbow looks without the slip stitches. But I do find that kind of, I really like Andrea Mowry's patterns, but her patterns are like, there's a lot of pages and like they're quite wordy, and not necessarily laid out in a way that my brain likes. I think because quite a lot of patterns I knit are from either magazines, so there's like condensed like page space for a pattern, or then from like Scandinavian designers who are a bit less wordy. Kind of used to reading patterns that are like, do chart, knit this, like they're quite concise, so I can kind of like read over it and then just knit. So the more words there are in a pattern, the worse my reading comprehension is, and I just kind of assume that I know what I'm doing, and that is consistent, not like across a lot of patterns. I do it all the time where I just like don't read it properly and then wonder what's wrong with, I'm like, oh, this isn't right, this designer, what are they doing? I just can't read, which is, occupational hazard. My advice to you is to read the pattern carefully and maybe look at pictures nice and closely to make sure that you're doing the right thing, or just go for it and see what happens. The choice is yours. But yes, I enjoy a much more concise knitting pattern than like 10-12 page adventures, which like there's a lot of information, and that's really great when you're buying a pattern. You get a lot of information and tips and tricks, and it's like very kind of designers to give you that much information, but to be honest, I don't read most of it. But yes, love it, so beautiful. One more look at this gorgeous color. Forgot the word color. That's always a good start. So yes, I shouldn't be too much longer on this. I just have the sleeves to go, and I'm going to try something. Andrea does recommend in the pattern that if you're knitting the sleeves on a small circumference circular needle, which I will be, to go up a needle size because people's gauge tends to be tighter. I've never really thought about it, but I am going to go up a size and just see what it's like, see what the gauge does, just for funsies. Yeah, I'm knitting, I don't think I said, I'm knitting the 4th size and using the recommended needle sizes. So the body's on a 4mm needle, 3.5 for the ribbing, and for the sleeves I'll knit them on 4.5 and then 3.75 for the ribbing. The other reason I will be going up a needle size for the sleeves is that I have no idea where my 30cm 4mm needle is. So it's somewhere in this house, it'll show up. But yeah, so perfect excuse to try and see what happens with my gauge at the smaller circumference. Because I usually don't check and I just like block it and hope for the best. 4th work in progress. It's actually only the 3rd. I've been working on this for forever because it is kind of a labor of love. It's the aerial top, also by Sari Nordland, and I just managed to throw off my stitch marker, which for the beginning of the round, which is like really smart. I'll be right back. And we're back. So this is the aerial top by Sari Nordland. I've been working on this for forever because it is, well, not because, but as you can see, it's all over lace. It's absolutely gorgeous. But it's knit at quite a tight gauge. So it's kind of designed for 8-ply yarn on 3mm needles. I'm holding a fingering weight yarn double. And so it's quite a tight gauge and all over lace. It's quite hard on your hands. Also, I'm using Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which I also got from the Yarn Bowl in Brisbane, in Benue, in the, what's it called? Dark Cognac, which is this beautiful, like warm, dark brown. Beautiful, beautiful yarn, but plant fiber, so it's not as flexible as wool. So this is like tighter gauge lace, and plant fiber means it is quite hard on your hands, and it's not because it's all over lace. It's a very like easy to follow chart, and you do the repeat so many times on the round as well that you I just will kind of look at the start of the round, read what I have to do, and then go for it. But it is definitely a labor of love kind of pattern. I started it in the summer and I'd done 2 full repeats, and then the weather was starting to cool down and I just wanted to work on other projects. So I popped it down and I've just picked it up recently again, and I'm really, really enjoying working on it. So it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. It's a bottom up kind of tank top, so it has a little like ribbed band at the top and then just little straps, and yeah, I think it's really lovely. So it's this really, really cute lace pattern. They kind of look like mermaid tails, which is why it's called Ariel. Once again, I think I'm knitting the 4th size, and yeah, using a 3mm needle. Not really much else to say. Because it's knit in the round, not just because it's knit in the round, but the way the pattern's written, there's no rest rows. So every row you're actively doing lace, which I think is normal for lace, but because I normally knit more like cables, which you get rest rows between, it's not full on, it's just like not a mindless project, but it's really, really fun, really beautiful to work on. It's coming up so pretty. Brown, not usually my color, but I really like the idea of this in like this nice neutral color for a nice fun going out top. So yes, that's what I'm working on. Oh my god, I just pulled 1,000 stitches off the needle. Ugh, I'll deal with that later. How are you? What are you working on? I do have one other thing I wanted to show you that I got from the wool show, because it is this like giant yarn baby. So this is from Northeast Yarns, which is like a kind of like a cooperative, I think, of sheep farmers from northeastern Victoria. It's 100% Corriedale, like an 8-ply weight. They had it in single colors, but I loved this mild one. So it's like 3 plies. So there's a white, kind of a mid brown, and a dark brown. And it's so beautiful. The yarn feels absolutely amazing. And like, how could I not? Ira got a yarn baby as well, but hers was this like the mid brown color in this. Hers is all like just it's not mild, it's just a color. But yes, very proud mothers of our yarn babies. I do want to ask, have you ever, if you've worked from like, this is like a 500 gram skein, like when I wind it up, do I like separate it into smaller balls, like 200 gram balls, like 200 and 100? Do I wind the whole thing into one giant ball? Bear in mind, I hand wind all my yarn. I don't have a Swift. I don't have a ball winder. I am my own Swift and ball winder. We are a lo-fi operation here at Simple Knit headquarters. We do, I think I've called it that like 3 times this episode. I'm so sorry, that is so cringe. But I'm lo-fi, not into having lots of tools. I have a tiny house. So yes, I will be hand winding this. Do I hand wind it into one giant ball? Will that like stretch the yarn too much or what? I'm just going to make like a simple jumper out of this, like, because it's a beautiful mild yarn. I don't want to have it obstructed by any, I don't want the, you know, just to be about the yarn, not about like anything too fancy. I have a couple of patterns in mind, but yes, I did want to show it to you as in its yarn baby glory, because by the time I work on it, it'll be somehow in some sort of state of being balled up. So yeah, I think I'll have to like do in like maybe like 2 smaller balls, like 2 like 250 gram balls. But is that also too much? Like, will that stretch it out when I wind it into balls? If you're smarter than me, please let me know in the comments below what I should do. Yes, I don't know how to sign off anymore. So say hi in the comments below. It's so great to be back talking to you about what I'm making. I think I covered everything. I have no idea. Congratulations, future Eleanor, who's just had to edit this into something presentable. But yeah, I'm really thrilled to be spending some time with you. I hope that I've been able to, you know, give you some company while you were knitting, relaxing, just enjoying your day. I hope you're all safe and well, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon about some more knitting. Bye guys.